All right, welcome to my dynamic notebook system. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit play, jump right in. So over here we have pages 1, 2. This is 3 and 4. This is a multi-page example. You pick one thing up and it'll fill more than one page. You can make as many pages as you want. It's based on an array. And this will play an audio log, and then it will fill in the page with whatever you want it to say. Exactly what the audio log says, a summary, what have you. It does not save the audio itself. So that is not a feature I've added here. That's something that is in my project, but not in this plugin. And it will update dynamically. So if you pick up page 2, all you have is page 2, and you can skip right to it. So this would be 1. This is page 2. Back to your index. You can also go forward to it. You can't go any further. And it creates blank pages. So if you have a 10-page story you want to tell somebody, but out of order, and they won't understand it until they get all the pages, you can tell it in any order that you want. So now if we pick up page 1, it'll now update where the first page is now page 1. So page 1 and 2. So let's skip page 3 and let's just go over here to page 3 and 4 and go straight to 5.
Good news. I can help.
So now you can see we have Diner starts on page 5 right here. But if you go forward, you got 1, 2, 3, and 4 are blank. And then you got page 5. And then you pick this one up. And there you have it, 1, 4, and 5. So you can skip through them page by page. On the pages with pictures, I didn't add page numbers. You can easily turn that on. That's not a problem. Then you got page 5. And there you go, Dynamic Notebook System in action. Now, I've already set up a lot of this on a project. However, we're going to go over this step by step. Now, most of you are going to actually integrate this into an existing project. So I created a new project and set up some of the basics. And this is the default map of the FPS starter kit, I think it's called. I forget what it's called. FPS game starter kit. This is a popular one from what I understand. So anyway, I do own it and thought I'd use it because most of you are going to use your own project, which is going to have all your stuff already set up the way you want it. So in order to get going with your project, you're going to need to find your player controller, wherever that may be, whatever that may be. In this particular project, it's going to be in your FPS game blueprints system, and it's the BP player controller. If you do not have one, you can right click, go to blueprint class, and there's a player controller right there, and you can create one. All right, so in the player controller, you're going to hit add. You're going to type in AC notes, and you're going to see AC notes collection, and you're going to add it. It's going to be right there. And you're going to go ahead and compile and save it, and then you're done. You're done with your player controller. Next step is going to be a game mode. You need to have a game mode as well. So here's your game mode. Same thing. You can right click, blueprint class, game mode, and you can find your game mode. So in game mode, you're going to make sure that your player controller class is going to say your player controller. In my case, it's BP player controller. Yours may say something else, whatever you called it. Make sure it's set right here in your player controller. Okay, next, you're going to set up your input mapping for it. And this is for the enhanced input system. If you're using the legacy system, have at it. So I took jump and I duplicated it and then just named it journal, input action underscore journal. You don't need to do anything in it, just create it. Then you're going to open your input mapping. Many of you probably just left it called as input default or whatever it's called. In my case, it's input mapping keyboard and mouse. And I also have one for gamepad, but we're just going to do the mouse for now, or the mouse keyboard one. So you're going to open it up. You're going to hit plus to add a mapping. It'll say down here, and you're going to use the drop down. You're going to look for the action you just made. So if you did just like me, it'll say input action journal. And it'll look like this. Hit the drop down arrow there, and you're going to see this little keyboard here. If you hit that, press the key on your keyboard that you want it to work with. In my case, it was J. And you're going to save all. And now you have your input action set. In the project I actually created this in, there is no key for it. I actually have it open and closing in a UI. I may load that up in a little bit and show you what that looks like. So anyway, so now you're going to open your actual character itself. In this case, it's called BP character base, which is the parent of any other character I create for the game. And this way, any player character that you use, if it's a AI, obviously they're not going to need this notebook. So that's why I said player character. So any character that someone can actually play and control, this is where you're going to need to be. And yeah, we'll create this in a minute. So you need to create two variables. So find variables on your left, hit the plus. One is going to be called notebook widget, and it's going to be type WB dynamic notebook object reference. Okay. Create another variable. That's going to be your player controller, and it's going to be type player controller, not the WB or not WB my guy or whatever you call it. Just type in player controller, and it will come up with this type. And you want an object reference of that. That's the one from game mode where it says player controller class. It's this one here, but you want the object reference, not the class reference. So player controller object. All right. Now that you have that done, go up to functions, hit plus and create a new function and call it toggle notebook. Now we're actually going to create this. So grab your notebook widget from down here, drag it in and get a reference. Drag off and type in is valid, and it's going to come up with two. One's a function and one has a little question mark. Select the one with the question mark so you get this particular one. Connect up your exec mode. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to check and see if your notebook widget is valid or not. Obviously, is valid. If it is valid, that means it actually does see one and you want to destroy it. This will clear the screen if you already have it open. So you're going to grab your notebook widget again. You're going to grab it from here, drag it in, get a reference, and you're going to just drag off here and type in remove from parent and connect it to is valid. Drag it off, and then you're going to set notebook widget to nothing. So you're going to drag it out, and hit set, or just drop it on the pin, and it'll automatically create a set node for you, or the exec. That's not a pin, that's the exec node, and it'll create it for you. And you're blanking it out, which means it'll be in. It's not valid anymore. Then you're going to set your game mode back to game only. So drag off your exec, type in set input mode, and it'll come up with like 3 or 4 different types, and you want to select game only. You can grab your player controller, drag it in, get a reference, or if you drag it in and just drop it on this player controller, it'll automatically connect it for you. Drag off and set mouse cursor to false. So that way it'll erase the cursor on the screen so you can go back to playing the game. Again, get a reference to grab your player controller, drag it in, hit get, or just drop it on this target and it'll create a link to that pin. Great. Now you can get rid of it. So let's create it. So that way when you hit J, it will actually open up. Well, not yet. We haven't actually put in the key yet. So now if you go to open it up and it doesn't see the notebook widget, so it's not valid, you want to drag off your exec pin off the is not valid and type in create widget. Don't create WB, it's a create widget, and then class type in WB and it'll change the name up here. All right, so don't try to search for the create WB dynamic. That's not going to work. Create widget and then select it in the class. Drag your player controller from your variables on top of owning player and it'll connect it up. Now from the return value here, you're going to want to grab notebook widget and drag it in and drop it on the return value, and it should create this set node for you. If not, just drag it in and hit set and then just connect the pin in the exec yourself. So off the set notebook widget, drag off and type in add to viewport, and then you just want to use the output or the result from set into target. And then off add to viewport, you want to drag off and type in set input mode again and look for the one that says game and UI. You would think you want to use just UI, but in this particular case, if you type in just UI, it will work, except you can no longer hit the J key to close your notebook because obviously you've disconnected the game portion of the input. So if you click outside of the notebook, you can still look around with your player. I'll leave that up to you to figure out how you want to control that. Some people want to actually, pause the game when the notebook opens. This is just to get your notebook working into a working status. You can add a button to your notebook to actually close it, so that way you can do UI only. Then you can't control the player in the background, and they have to hit like an X or something to close it. But anyway, so off at set input mode. So then you're going to grab your player controller, pin in the player controller, pretty obvious. In widget to focus, grab the result pin from your set over here. And then these are just default, leave those alone. Then you want to drag off and set mouse cursor, put a check in the box, and then again, your player controller. All right, you have now created your function to allow your notebook to work. So on the event graph, you still need to get a reference to your player controller. Now, if you're using an asset, check to make sure that you don't already have a reference. You might already have one somewhere. If not, then we're going to use this player controller reference or the player controller variable we used, drag it in and set. So drag that in and hit set, connect it to your event begin play, drag off player controller and type in get player controller. That's all you need to do for that. And you'll know you got it. You'll know if this is right or wrong because this will only connect if you select player controller. If you selected yours, like the BP player controller in this case, it will not connect. Okay, so now if you hit play, oh wait, hold on, nope, sorry, it's not going to work. Hold on. I forgot. You still need to hook up this. So you want to right click and you want to type in enhanced input action and look for the one that says journal, or maybe just input action journal. But either way, you can maybe it'll just type in journal. Oh, will journal work? Make it quicker. Yeah, you can find your input action just by typing journal. And off started. You don't want triggered ongoing. You want started toggle notebook. And that's the function you just created. So now if you hit play, you hit J, there's your notebook. Nice. All right. Good times. All right, give me a second. I will be right back and we will create your pickups. Okay. Yeah, I just paused it for a second there. I'm going to do it again here in a second. I want to go over something real quick. You are going to have to create an interface for your interaction if you haven't already. In this case, I already have one. Again, you can right click and create one from blueprints. I believe there is one in there for interface. Yep, right here. You can create a blueprint interface, and that one's going to be simple. It's just going to be like this. Nothing to it. Let's see. I think I need to add a little bit to that. Hold on just a second, and let me verify that. Okay. So I did go ahead and add interactor actor to mine. I'm sure there's other ways to do it, but in this case, let's just go ahead and stick with what I have, and you can play with it later. So in my interface interaction, it already had character reference BP character. In this case, I needed an interactor actor. So, okay, so that's awesome, great, and new stuff. So now we can go to our content drawer here, and you can do other things. So here's like a pickup thing here. So if we go into your plugins, dynamic notebook system, note system, you have the base for the pickup. So we're going to go ahead, you're going to right click and you are going to create a child blueprint class. And then we will call this first note. Maybe. There we go. First note. Okay, so let's open up our notebook base first because we need to set it for our project. Connect your own interaction and cast to AC Notes collection here. And of course, emails come in. So none of this is going to work because you can see that, it's not set for us here. So we need to go to class settings and you need to add your interface. And this one is BPI interact. So then you're going to grab your interface right here. And you can see I have character reference and interactor on this one. That and that. Okay, controller. And I forgot what that one was supposed to be. Oh, this is where you're going to cast it to your actual player. So this would be BP player controller. Nope, not player controller. I'm sorry. BP character base, because it's the actual player. No, I was right. I was right the first time. I'm sorry. I am so sorry about that. Doing my best here since I actually did just kind of create this. There we go. Oh, I kept the bad cast node in. There we go. That should only be what? Yep, that's right. Awesome. There we go. Compile that. Should be fine. Save all. Okay, so now that we got the parent taken care of, now we can go to the child. Pick up base, character base. So this is our first note. There's really not much you need to do with this one. This is pretty much place it in the world and go. This will fill in your data just about automatically by using your notes table. So if you open this up, you can do this. It'll take you right to your DT notes. So in this one, you want your data table here, and these are the examples from the first one I did. And I am back. Sorry about that. Okay, so now we have, I forget exactly where we left off, but okay, let's revisit our BP character base and our toggle note. Nope, let us not do that because that looks fine. Our pickup base. All right, I overcomplicated it from the one we had where we had get pawn, etc., etc., etc. Apparently, we just need it like this. Um, get player controller, player controller. I was doing some checks because when I picked it up, it didn't work, but it does work in my other projects. So there's other ways, but you need to get a reference to your player controller, however you need to, which this seems to be the simplest way right here. I don't think we need interactor. Okay, all right. So that is on your pickup base. Let's file, let us save all. And then we are going to go to our BP first note. The pickup mesh is empty. So pick a mesh. I mean, this is where you would create your notebook page, whatever it is you want. In this case, I'm going to type in cube and just pick a cube. At least I thought I was. There we go. We're going to compile that. That's all you need to do for that. So then I'm going to save all. Let's go ahead and you can place it in the world right here. Now, in my case, the cube was much bigger than the collision. So on interact collision, just change the sphere radius till it's bigger. Obviously, your notepads, notebooks, they're going to be a lot smaller, but this is just for testing. Okay, now your DT note pages. Oh, I think that's where I left off. You can see there's some of the previous ones that are there. So the most important thing is going to be your row name. I'll go more over what all this stuff means in another video, but in order to get you started, I left you some demos here. So for row name, you can right click, go to copy, because we want the row name. Story row name, try to keep these pretty much the same. Your story page ID is for you to keep track of your storylines and where the notes actually go. The group name is also for you to keep your chapters organized internally, and display name is the chapter that they actually go to that the player sees, which is why it says display name. And your story page title, of course, is the title on the top of the page, and then your text. If there's an image, text doesn't matter. It bypasses everything and only displays the image on the page, like the picture of that zombie. That's what that was for. So now, if you go over to your first note, select your note, and you see story row name, that's where you put it in. You compile, and then when you play, it should fill this in. It should already be filled in with everything we need. Oh wait, is it another window? Where are you? Where's my play game? There you are. So we should be able to go over, pick it up, hit J, and there you have it. You now have a note. So that is a quick and simple, easy setup of the note system. Doesn't seem really simple and easy, and I know there was a mistake or two I made that I had to backtrack and fix for you real quick, or something that got overcomplicated. But that is the gist of it. And in another video, I will go over more detail. Probably do another quick setup again, maybe from a default project or a blank project where you're setting this up first thing. And I'll explain more about your DT note pages. Like page 3 actually does 3 and 4. And that can actually be found on the actual note itself. Here it is, the story row names. This is where you would add all the different pages you want. These are the story row names, like up here, Motel 01. This is where you put all the pages you want it to have. So that's why you can fill an entire novel with that. These are also stored in oh, I forgot what I was going to say. It doesn't have to scan the library every time you open it. It updates it um, every time you pick something up. So it won't. The more you get, it won't slow down. They'll still run at the same speed. Anyway, I hope you found this video easy enough to follow to set up, and hopefully you can expand on it and make it better and use it in your game.